Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. This is actually a really good one. I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but it's been a long time since I've done a video in a makeup artist series where I kind of teach you guys to do your own makeup kind of on a pro level, or if you are an aspiring or current makeup artist, this will help you in your freelance artistry, in your jobs with clients in order to do better makeup. So the reason why I had this idea is because I got this really awesome package from L'Oreal, which let me go ahead and show you. So they gave me this huge box of foundation. Now, I'm not being paid to make this video, but they did send me this PR package. And this is the L'Oreal True Matte Foundation. Do you see all the shades? Let's count how many there are. 1, 2, 3. There's 45 shades, which is amazing. And this is a drugstore foundation, which I'm sure you've all heard of or probably tried at some point in your life. So this is a great opportunity for me to do a how to correctly match foundation video. So that is a huge struggle for a lot of makeup artists and for makeup wearers, finding your right shade. You know, there's so many options out there. And if you go to the store, the department counter, Sephora, you can't always rely on the salesperson to match you correctly, because for one, a lot of people in makeup stores nowadays are more on the selling side than on the other side. Two, the lighting is different in store than it is like outside. And then some people have their preferences. Some people like to be a little bit darker, a little bit cooler, a little bit warmer. So, you know, it's definitely personal preference. So I'm going to show you how to, you know, correctly match the foundation of yourself or your client using these foundations, because I can pretty much match anybody with these colors. And really any foundations in your kit, you can apply the same principles in practice. So let's go ahead and get started. I do have on eye makeup and eyebrows on today. I went for a really different, fun, colorful look using the new Urban Decay Elements palette. So this is a really fun palette. It actually reminds me of a holiday palette, actually. But I just wanted to show you all these fun colors. I did purples and pinks. Try to mix it up and do like more color, because I don't do a lot of color. So if you're interested in this look, this will be featured in like an upcoming Instagram and blog post. But I'm going to do the foundation, and then I'm going to physically kind of color match myself and show you the appropriate way. So first off, the thing that you need to ask your clients are a couple of consultation questions. One, what is their skin type? Normal, dry, oily? That depends on, that will alter your prep process. So if they're oily versus dry, you'll use different skincare and primers. You can pretty much use the same foundation on any skin type as long as you prep and set them properly. So if I'm oily, I'm going to use a mattifying primer. If I'm dry, I might have to use a richer moisturizer, a serum, maybe exfoliate. So decide that first. Then you need to ask yourself or your client, what kind of coverage do you like? Light, medium, or full? So that totally depends on personal preference, or maybe if they're not sure, it depends on the occasion and where they're going and their lifestyle. So decide if it's light, medium, or full. And now here's a tip. The lighter the coverage, the more sheer it is, the better foundation match you're going to get, because more of your skin is going to show through. Versus full coverage, it's going to completely be covering up everything, so you kind of have to have a really true match between the full coverage and your skin. So decide the coverage. Next you want to decide is the finish. Do they want glowy or dewy? Do they want matte? Do they want more of a natural finish? Is it more like skin-like? You know, again, if they don't know, you have to just decide what is their skin type call for. More oily clients might want more of a matte appearance because they don't like to be oily. More dry clients might like to be a little bit more dewy because it gives them like the illusion of having kind of more moisturized skin. So ask those 3 questions again: skin type, skin coverage or foundation coverage, and foundation finish. You also want to ask them what allergies or skin sensitivities they might have. Maybe they're allergic to some popular ingredients that are in certain foundations and powders and all that. So you want to ask those questions. And then what you want to do is know how to match. So a couple of things. You want to match according to what they're wearing. So if somebody has on a turtleneck top, you know, it's winter, it doesn't really matter what their body versus their face is looking like, because you're only seeing this part that exposed. But let's say you have a bride who has on a strapless sweetheart neckline. So you're not just matching the face anymore, you're actually matching the body, because no matter how accurate the foundation is on the face, if it doesn't match the body, it doesn't look like a match. So a lot of times people's face is not the same color as their body. Their face might be lighter, maybe due to skincare. Maybe their skin is darker because the sun hits. Like me, my forehead is darker than the rest of my face because that's where the sun hits. Or someone might have discoloration or some kind of skin conditions, something like that. So decide what you're matching. Generally, I try to match the body, at least the chest area, because that is usually exposed, or like at least the neck. A big myth that, or kind of incorrect matching that you see a lot of times in department stores is they'll match you on the jaw. So the problem with the jaw is, unless you're wearing a turtleneck, the jaw oftentimes isn't the right place to match foundation because sometimes people have different segments of their face that are different colors. For women of color, often the outer perimeter of the face can be darker. So if you match the jaw, and that's the darkest area of the face, and you put that all over, you're going to automatically go too dark, okay? So instead of just matching the jaw, I tend to match jaw into the cheek, so it's two different segments. So potentially, you can match two different colors, or find that in-between color. Here's another trick, and kind of like a shortcut for you guys. Get as close as you can to matching, you know, the color. But honestly, it does not have to be a perfect match, because if you end up doing a full face of makeup, you will have highlight and contour and blush. And those three different colors are going to break apart the foundation matching. So as long as you have the foundation relating closely to the rest of the body, it doesn't have to be a perfect match. And that's actually something I learned from the amazing makeup artist Sam Fine when he came to Atlanta and taught a class years ago. So don't get hung up on, is this the right color, blah, blah, blah. If you're doing a full face, especially on a client, get it close, and then your foundation will kind of like just go with the highlight, contour, and you can kind of fake it even. Like let's say you accidentally go too dark with the foundation, you can add a brighter highlight in the center of the face to kind of compensate. If you go too light with the foundation matching, you can always do a darker contour or bronze on the outer perimeter of the face. So that's something that you should definitely keep in mind, so don't stress about that. Alright, so now that we kind of have the basic tips and tricks, how do you match? So there are 45 shades of foundation here. So the way I tell somebody to color match is first to determine what color they are in terms of like how light, medium, tan, dark, deep, or rich they are. So if you know that your client is on the lighter side, you will totally skip all these dark foundations on top and you'll look in these lighter foundation ranges. Or if they're on the tan side, you'll look more on the tan side. So not only does the color or the shade match, it's also the undertone. So decide, let's say they're tan, okay? Are they warm, neutral, or cool? So even though you might match the shade, if the undertone isn't correct, it's still gonna be off. A lot of times I see my students match somebody who might be like tan, for example, but instead of it looking nice and warm and like bronze, the foundation turns beige because they're too cool of an undertone. So if you have a warm undertone, generally it's something that's more yellow based. You see that a lot on women of color, not all the time though. Something cool for a cool undertone, that's generally something with more of a pink base. So you see that more often with light to fair skin tones. Neutral is kind of right in the middle. It's not too warm or too cool, and you could probably get away with matching a lot of people neutral unless they're extremely warm or cool. But neutral is a great option for people who are kind of right in the middle. I find that a lot of my lighter skin tones are also more neutral than they are warm. So those are the three things we're going to do. So let's go ahead and show you how to color match. The technique I'm going to show you is what we show our students at Industry Makeup Academy, which is color swiping. So this is again something that you might have gotten done at the drugstore, not the drugstore, the department makeup counter or something like that, or Sephora. So I want to show you, if I eyeball this, I'm probably going to be right in the middle. I'm not going to be light, I'm not going to be dark, I'm going to be right in the middle. So I'm going to pick a couple of shades just from like eyeballing it and seeing what, you know, what color I think that me or my client might be. So they are arranged in neutral, warm, and cool. So I know that I'm warm because I have more of a yellow undertone to my skin. So let's pick up a couple of shades. I'm going to pick up W7 Beige Caramel. And you can just kind of like look at it and see. I'm going to pick up W6, which is Beige Soleil. And then I'm going to pick up, actually I'm going to switch that out for W5.5. So at least they're not super close to each other. And then I'm going to pick up W8, which is a little bit darker, just to kind of show you options. So here are my 3 kind of close matches. Now some people actually do match when they swatch foundations. They will swatch it on their chest, which is another option for you to do, especially if you're trying to do like really like seamless transition. Maybe you're doing a photo shoot and you're doing like the face and the body like from here up, like a beauty shot. That's something you can do too, but I generally just match here and here. So I have the 3 options, but I do want to show you the exact same shade in warm, neutral, and cool, so that way we can make sure that we understand that concept. So I have shade number 4 in W4 warm, C4 cool, and N4 neutral. So this one is neutral, the middle is cool, and this one at the end is warm. Do you see how the warm has more of a yellow kind of base? Cool has more of a pinky undertone, and neutral is just kind of right in the middle. So I'm going to swatch them for you as well. So usually when you have foundation, go ahead and just shake it just to make sure everything's blended. So even though it's the same number, because this is a good foundation range, they have undertones. A lot of foundation ranges don't have all of that, so you have to kind of recognize what looks warm and what looks cool. But luckily this has WC and N. MAC has NC and NW. Some brands have that kind of stuff going on. So do you see these colors right here? So this one is warm. Do you see how, again, yellow undertone? This one in the middle is obviously kind of pinker, right? So this is cool. And this one is neutral, so it's right in the middle. So you might be able to get away with neutral or warm if you have kind of like right in the middle. But for me, I know warm is for yellow undertones. I definitely have a yellow undertone on my skin. If you're not sure from your face, maybe you have a lot of surface discoloration, maybe you're sunburned, maybe something's going on, you can always check your wrist area as well, because you can see the undertone there. Alright, so warm, neutral, cool. So I picked all W's for warm. So now I'm going to go ahead and swatch these, and I'm going to make sure to remember the order that you swatch them in, because sometimes I'm like, shoot, I don't remember which foundation was what. So I'm going to go from W5.5 up to W7 and then up to W8. Okay, so I'm going to take my Q-tip and I'm going to go from cheek to jaw. Here's one. Now I'm going to do W7. So W5 is called, if you are interested in the shade names because maybe you're close to me, this one is called Suntan. Now I'm going to do W7, which is Beige Caramel. Okay, next to it. And the last one is called Creme Cafe. Okay. So sometimes you can look at it immediately and know what the right shade is. Sometimes you really cannot tell. So in order to really tell, you have to blend it into the skin, and whatever color generally disappears is your shade. So make sure your hands are clean, especially if you're working on a client, or you can use a brush or a sponge. If you do use your hands, they're clean, and you always ask permission for you to touch the client's face, because some people don't want you touching their face. Use your most gentle finger. You guys know what it is? The ring finger. And then you want to blend it in. And I'm going from cheek to jaw. Okay, do you see how once I blend it in, it's kind of like, changes things a little bit. So obviously this one is way too dark. This one blended right in, but this one's a little deeper, and I have a feeling that this color in the middle could probably go onto the perimeter of my face, especially the forehead where I'm darker. So, like I said, sometimes you have two colors. You see forehead is definitely darker than the middle of my face. Let's just, for the heck of it, swatch this on my forehead and see. Okay. And you see how it kind of blends right in? Because like I said before, a lot of women color are two shades. So here are your options as an artist, as an individual applying their own makeup. What is your preference? Do you want to do two shades of foundation? If I was going to do that myself, I would have 1 and 2. Or I could always mix the two together and kind of get right in between, because I know I'm going to highlight and contour. So I could mix W5.5, and W7. So if I look at my foundation ranges, I don't, let's see, there is a W6 in here. So maybe if I grab that, that will be a better match. Because I went from 5.5 to 7. So let's see what W6 looks like. So if you don't match it correctly, let's say they're too light or too dark, go ahead and move on to your next set of swatches, and maybe it's you'll get it on that try. Or maybe if I went too light, I can go ahead and mix some darker foundation into my lighter match to get a more closer skin match. Because we don't carry every single foundation color in the rainbow in our makeup kits. You might have like 5 to 8 shades. So if the closest match is too light, just mix one of those darker shades into it to deepen it up. Or maybe if it's not warm enough, mix a warmer shade of foundation into it. Same thing if it's too dark, you can always lighten it up or change the undertone. So I'm going to swatch W6 on my skin as well. So let's do this side. Okay. So W6 is called Sun Beige. It already almost disappears right in here. So I rubbed it in and it looks like W6 is a match. But honestly, like I said, you could get away with W6, you could get away with W5.5 or 7. It's all just about making it work, okay? So I have my color matches. Now I'm going to do is just erase this. So if you're interested in the coverage and the finish of this, I'm going to go ahead and put it on to show you. At this point, once you have your color match, you want to make sure the skin is prepped. So everybody needs moisturizer. You can prime accordingly. I have probably normal combination skin, so my skin isn't extremely dry or oily. So I'm just going to skip primer. I already have moisturizer on. I am going to go ahead and just kind of liven up my skin by spraying a little bit of rose water. Mario Badescu. Okay, now the foundation brush is up to you. On clients, I just use traditional paddle foundation brushes like this. Some people like more rounded or flat top brushes. It's totally your preference. Maybe you want to use a beauty blender. Maybe you want to use your hands. It's up to you, okay? So I'm going to make sure that my foundation brush is clean. So I'm going to use W6. So what I like to do with products like this is pour it out on a palette or on the back of my hand that's clean, so that way you don't double dip and infect the product. So I'm going to pour this onto the back of my hand. If this was a client, I would definitely probably use a steel palette, so that way it's nice and sanitary. Alright, so generally when I put foundation on, I like to go from middle out because usually you need more coverage in the middle of the face. So I'm going to use short motions to help blend. A lot of my students don't like these paddle Maxine Mop filbert shaped brushes because they think it leaves streaks. That's because they're not applying it correctly. They're using long motions like this, and that will leave streaks. So I'm getting the center of my face, behind the nose. People always forget behind the nose. So sometimes people will do foundation first and then concealer. Sometimes people will do concealer and then foundation, or I like to do correcting actually first. That's what I prefer to do, but there's no right or wrong way. So I'm getting a little bit more because this foundation is actually pretty lightweight. And if you want more coverage, you can just go ahead and add more and build it. This actually is probably good for people who like medium, light to medium coverage. And I'm always going down into my neck too. And sometimes you will have to get the ears. If the ears especially are red, you want to make sure that you don't forget that area as well. So blend it down so you don't see any lines of demarcation. Like I said, this is actually blends pretty well into my skin, so I don't have to worry about it kind of being an obvious flaw, because like I said, the more sheer the foundation is, the less you have to worry about a color match. So let's take a step back. You always want to take a step back. So if you're doing a client, take a step back and look at, hopefully you'll have like a big mirror in front of you, or if you don't, just take a step back, because when you get too close to a client, you get kind of lost. So I want to look and see, I'm wiping my hand clean. Does it kind of match close enough to my body where it's not like an obvious like mismatch? And to me it looks pretty good. So So like my body, I would say, is a little bit lighter than my face up here, but it's pretty close right here. So because I have all this chest exposed, I have to make sure it matches. If this is all buttoned up, it wouldn't make a difference. Do you see what I'm saying? So the coverage appears to be, like I said, medium. It's right in the middle. I would say it's pretty natural. It's probably a satin finish. It's not super matte or super dewy. It feels lightweight. And like I said, this is a good everyday kind of foundation. If you're a beginner, this is a great drugstore foundation because there's so many shades and it's like not hard to use. But yeah, this is what it looks like. So what I'm gonna do is finish the rest of my face and then I'll go ahead and recap with you. Okay guys, so I finished putting on the makeup. So what I did is I added a highlight, which is a lighter concealer on the center of my face. I used something that's like a little bit more yellow, and then I did a darker foundation on the outside. This is a little bit more bronzy, kind of like a caramel tone, just to give me a contour and a bronze to the face. Then I add an orangey blush, as well as my lips, which is like a glossy pink. So once I add all those different colors, you kind of don't even pay attention to the foundation because they're like, you can make it work. But the foundation W6 seemed to be a good match. And I do have a little bit of liquid shimmer right here too from L'Oreal. So as you can see, the foundation looks pretty. I do still see some pores. I don't have a lot of discoloration and blemishes, so it evened out my skin pretty well. But if you did, you'd probably need either a separate concealer or more layers. Hopefully those steps for foundation matching, swatching, determining shade and undertone, those helped you out. But